Hello and welcome to Press Party for our Winter Olympics special. Thanks for joining us here at Suffolk University's Studio 73. I'm your host, Katie Eastman. As the games begin, the terror threats continue and are more real than any Olympics in history. If you want to watch the games, tune in to NBC, but they'll dictate what you watch and when you watch it. Sochi problems, that's the Twitter hashtag going around for journalists receiving less than luxurious accommodations. We'll get to those topics in a bit, but first let's introduce our panel. The Chair of Communication and Journalism here at Suffolk University, Dr. Bob Rosenthal. Next to him, we have an Olympian. She is a gold medalist in judo from the 2012 Summer Olympics, Kayla Harrison. And Joe Battenfeld joins us. He is a Boston Herald columnist. Now let the games begin, but not without anxiety and trepidation from very real terror threats. Press Party's Erica Mora has the story.
They worked their entire lives to get here, but the spotlight has shifted from the games to
Olympic athletes will soon be leaving home to head to Russia for the Winter Olympics, but that trip comes against the background this morning of a new threat against Russia.
A video posted online shows two men. The video is just adding to the fear that Russia won't be able to stop a terror attack at the Olympic Games.
In that very ominous language, they say they have a present prepared for Russians, for tourists.
The U.S. State Department has a new travel alert right now.
terror threats, stories of suicide bombers in surrounding areas, and reports of a black widow who somehow made it through security are the main focus. Some are criticizing the media for focusing on safety concerns. Those critics say the games are far more important. But other groups are asking for the media to take the opportunity to talk about the lesbian, bi, gay, and transgender policies of Russia.
We do not ban anyone or anything. We don't detain people on the street.
And as if the distractions of the political pitfalls of Russia, the terror threats, and the safety concerns weren't enough, Russia is apparently now poisoning stray dogs. For Press Party, Erica Mora.
So we've been hearing about these threats for a while now. This was a topic already on Press Party. Do you think that we need to continue to cover them the way that we're covering them?
Yes, we need to cover them, no doubt about it. The way they're covering them, it's overboard. Yes, it's totally overboard. This is typical of the media. They seize onto something. The Winter Olympics are not as well watched, I think, as the Summer Olympics. And so this is a way to draw in the viewers and to get them interested, even though, honestly, I interviewed a congressman from Massachusetts, Bill Delahunt, and you could tell in his voice that he was concerned. He wasn't one of those guys out there saying, "Don't come, I wouldn't come." I think that's terrible for Angus King. I think that is disgraceful for him to say that. And all these athletes are going there, their families are over there, and for him to say that is really irresponsible, I think. But it's also irresponsible of the media to overplay the terror threat, which of course they're going to do. But let's hope it becomes more about the sport soon.
Now, Kayla, what's this like for you, seeing this happen, knowing that you were in their position just a few years ago?
It's a funny feeling, you know, when you go to the Olympics, you don't really see. I mean, they're in Russia right now, so they're not seeing all of the media and what's going on and all the hype.
And they're probably very laser focused on what they are.
I've got to tell you, they are in the zone right now. So I don't think that it's on their mind as much as it's on our mind, but I am worried. You know, when I went to London, there was a hint of worry. I was a little concerned, but then I got there and it was like, okay, don't worry about it. So I'm hoping that's the case for them.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bob, do you think that the media coverage is overblown? Do you think that
I'm shocked that the media coverage would be overblown over terrorism. But yes, it is overblown. It needs to be covered. I agree totally with Joe. And obviously the athletes are not really because they're so focused, they're not as concerned. So it affects the rest of us, I think, a lot more than it does the athletes or people who are actually at Sochi. I think the biggest thing is, though, that controversy sells. And so you're going to get increased viewership on NBC in part because people are going to want to know what's up with the terrorist plot as opposed to what's up with the biathlon. You know, that's unfortunately
controversy sells, but so does the Olympics. So it's like,
yes,
do you wish that we were hearing more about the athletes, seeing their stories more than we are?
Absolutely. I think that, this is one of my favorite slogans for the Olympics is it's not every 4 years, it's every day. And this is that moment that these athletes have spent every day training for, and it's being overshadowed a little bit by some scary stuff.
But at the same time, I understand that, and hopefully, like I said, let's go to sports when it starts. But at the same time, if you talk to congressmen and they tell you when you interview them, I wouldn't go to the Olympics, how are you supposed to not report that? I don't agree with the Daily Beast that says we shouldn't report that article that I read. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, it's TV and TV news, and they're, terrorism. They're always, like you said, Dr. Bob, they're always, remember all those red threat, yellow threat, 1, 2, 3, remember that? It was like every day that used to come on. So this is the hook they have right now to get people interested in it.
And it's not just terrorism. I mean, there are so many problems that keep piling on top of each other. As Erica said, they have to, they're killing the stray dogs that are all around Russia. And you said that you know that there are a lot of stray dogs, but it's like, do you deal with it this way?
Right.
How do you cover
It's
all
a
this?
moral issue, I think. And I mean, I have a dog. I actually just adopted a puppy. So like I was listening to the, on the radio, and I heard that, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Which is going to spark a lot of outrage.
And there are stray dogs in a lot of underdeveloped countries everywhere
Absolutely,
you go, but
absolutely.
to kill them, I think that is not cool to do, and especially Americans will be outraged by that.
Exactly. Well, and now, but the terrorism coverage, think of what's going to happen at our Boston Marathon next year. You don't think that the world is going to be looking, the media is going to be emphasizing what are the protective situations that we've now taken into place. They're going to replay all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be a little bit smaller than the Sochi Olympics, but I think we're going to have some of that same issue with the media.
It'll be big. I mean, it'll be probably the most watched marathon. It certainly get the most
easily.
coverage of any marathon ever.
Well, I think that's part of the reason media, at least here, is looking very seriously at these terrorism threats in Sochi, because we know firsthand how real it can be. So I think for us to cover it and say that, to warn people about it, it's very real because it happened to us. So it's a very different scale, very different players, but it is still in Russia. I mean,
and it's right next door to where the Tsarnaevs were from.
Right.
So
there's
a whole bunch
connection.
of, yes, and so terrorism really is a real threat there, so you have to report on it. That's one of the reasons, I think, why people are reporting on it, because it's in that location. And they obviously didn't think of that when they gave Sochi the Olympics like 6 or 8 years ago, but now it doesn't look too smart.
Right.
I think it's also, it's partly the unknown, right? I mean, I'm sure, Russian intelligence isn't being shared with everyone all around the world, so we don't know what's real and what's not, what's a true threat and what's not a true threat.
That's true. That's one of the problems with Congressmen
scary.
told us that they're not convinced that Russia is sharing everything. They don't want us to
why
find
would
out.
they share?
They don't want us to find out about their intelligence gathering.
Right, and now we have all over the news last night the toothpaste tube as being the source
Airplanes
of
are saying
potentially
check
bombing.
out toothpaste.
It was the number one story in all the media that I saw.
Yeah, that was this morning.
Well, it
Or
has
Thursday
to be.
morning.
Yeah.
It has to be, especially something as innocuous as a toothpaste tube.
Right.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment, but thanks everyone on our panel and to you for watching. Up next, NBC monopoly on coverage. Welcome back to Press Party. I'm your host, Katie Eastman. With 230 televised hours of the games and more than 1,500 online hours, NBC is giving you the most coverage of any Olympics ever. But not everyone is pleased about how their coverage works. That familiar sound that everyone hears and thinks Olympics.
Let the games begin.
Only Americans are the only people who have that association. This is NBC's theme song for the Olympics. They have sole broadcasting rights and decide every year what events we watch and how we watch them.
Neither of the events we just described have been broadcast here yet on East Coast time in the United States.
Which doesn't always go over well with viewers. This year, NBC will follow a similar model to their London 2012 Olympics and broadcast all events live online and show major ones during prime time on a tape delay.
When NBC treats the Olympics as some 1950s Ozzie and Harriet broadcast, where mom and dad, put up their feet at 8 o'clock and we all sit around and watch from 8 to 11, those days days are long gone. This is the 21st century.
But NBC won't change a thing because they broke even during the 2012 Summer Olympics and they expect to profit from the Olympics in Sochi. And that's saying a lot considering the network is shelling out $775 million for the broadcasting rights. For Press Party, I'm Katie Eastman.
Stand by. Over $700 million. That's so much money, and that's part of a package deal for the next, I think, 4 or 5 Olympics, and that package deal was $4.38 billion. So they are shelling out so much money to bring in the Olympics, and now they think that they're going to make money on it. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, and the reason they pay so much money is they make a lot of money. Like you said, off of it, they get really good ratings. They're going to make
a profit this year.
Yeah, people always make fun of the Winter Olympics, like, oh, who cares? It's like people care about the Winter Olympics. They watch it. All this whining about, oh, tape delay. It's like, yeah, they do. They're actually showing some stuff on everything on the web live this time, right? Which is a major
they're showing
concession.
all of the event. I think it's 98.
Yeah, and they never used to do that before, so they're making a concession. But this is a entertainment package. This is not just about sports. This is an event that Americans gather around to watch. I know, Kayla, you should talk about this because you know it's. I just wondered from the athlete's point of view what they think
and how people watched you too.
It's actually that's what I was going to comment on. Is after the Olympics, you know, it's funny when you're at the Olympics, you don't watch the Olympics, you know, but. After the Olympics, so many people said, oh, I watched you on my phone at work, or I got to watch you on my computer, or I watched you on the TV. We streamed it live, and I think that's cool, you know, that no matter where you are in America, anyways, you can watch live. You can watch history
with
being
your
made live.
Cable subscription.
Correct.
That's what you have to pay.
But you know, if you pay more than $700 million in rights fees, you have the right to decide how to distribute that.
Right.
And so the fact that there's some tape delay, the fact that there's rights fees and it's going on computer, that's way cool. You've got to be able to recoup that money somehow. Absent that $700 million, we wouldn't get any information about the
and if
Olympics.
you really want to find out what happens, you can find out. Go on the web, find out, or on Twitter, or go on. This time, go online and watch it. But if you don't have time to watch it during the day, like I will sit there and purposely not try to find out because
people tell you spoiler alerts. They say like we're gonna tell you what happened, which is funny to have these.
Yeah, it's really hard to avoid it, but I like just going home. I love the Winter Olympics.
Yes.
This may shock you, but as a kid, I always wanted to win a medal at the Olympics, Winter Olympics. I would go in my backyard in my little sled and go down in my goggles.
Touch this one.
I know, that's why you just be careful because I might steal that. They
have to fight me for it.
Okay, forget it. You can use that fight. Yeah. But I would pretend. So it's like a big deal in America and to kids, and a lot of people watch it and sit around with their families.
Absolutely.
And I don't have any problem with NBC packaging it at night.
No.
It's an American dream gone crazy, you know, it's an Olympic dream.
Yeah, it was my dream, believe it or not. I mean,
it's a lot of people's dream.
Yeah, obviously, I grew up in New Hampshire, so there's like always snow, or either hockey or luge or whatever the bobsled or whatever. Obviously, that's
curling.
Sounds curl. Well, I wasn't so big into curling.
I still take great pride in the fact that working with a client once, we did a team building exercise in Calgary and we went down the Olympic bobsled run, and our sled, they have 2 professionals take you down and you're in the middle, but our sled beat the Jamaican sled that year, which of course probably wasn't very hard to do.
Kayla, how are you planning to watch the Olympics? I'm curious as an athlete.
Any way I can. I think honestly, I'll still be in training and I'll be doing a lot of sponsorship events during the games, so I'm probably going to be checking Twitter. But if I see something on Twitter, I'm definitely going to go and look. And
do you wait until prime time ever?
No.
I
don't. I'm a in the moment kind of gal. So
but a lot of people are, but some people aren't. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the only problem I have with the whole primetime thing is NBC picks and chooses who goes and what sport goes.
Prime time?
It did on my day.
It did.
But not, from what I heard, my teammate Marty Malloy took a bronze medal. My other teammate Travis took a 5th place. So the problem with being an American is we're so good. We have so many gold medal moments that a lot of athletes don't get the coverage that they deserve, I think.
And they're working
the
just as
recognition.
hard, whether
Absolutely.
or not
you know,
they
the difference
are
between
gymnasts
first,
or
the difference between first and fifth is, you know, this.
Yeah, but at least at the Winter Olympics, there are less medals won by the United States, so we hear more about people like you.
True.
I mean, I remember hearing about you when you won the gold medal. Everyone was cheering and everything. So people are watching out there and cheering for athletes. And the other thing that you can get guaranteed coverage of is if you really screw up bad, right? Then NBC will show that
If you do really, really great, or you really screw up.
Right.
Nothing in between. Really nothing.
No, but that's an interesting perspective on it. I think they do show bias, no doubt.
It's tough as an athlete. I think I definitely feel for them. You know, it's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, and I think that both are compelling. And that, I don't know, for me, that's the Olympic experience. Not just the winning, but also the getting there.
I remember in 2012 when NBC was showing, was it Jordan Weber crying for so long, and a lot of people were very angry about that because they were just like, she is such a young girl. Right. Don't just show her in this absolutely terrible moment.
And there was that Lindsay Jacobelli, what's her name, when she was the skier, the mogul skier who wiped out at the end. She did she hot dogged at the end and wiped out. That was heartbreaking to watch, but she got so much coverage for that. So they do tend to overcover, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the drama of the sport. The drama of the sport is the winning, and the drama are those moments of anguish, if you will, or the unfortunate injury that might happen on a downhill when you're going 80 miles an hour. And so that's what people tune in for. They tune in for your gold, but they also, unfortunately, because of who we are, tune in for the tears.
Well, that's the thing about the Olympics. It's unscripted reality TV. It's as real as it gets.
That's why it's so great, because it is an event, but it's not like a political convention where you know what's going to happen going into it. You absolutely don't know what's going to happen.
Outcome,
no, at all. But I like to hear about the athletes' backstories. I know everyone makes fun of those profiles that they show.
No, those are fascinating.
I love to hear about how you struggled and where you came from.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of great stories in there.
Absolutely.
Dedication.
Yeah, unscripted reality TV. I like that a lot. That's all we have for this segment. But stay tuned for the interesting experiences reporters are having as they arrive in Sochi. Welcome back to Press Party. I'm your host, Katie Eastman. 7 years ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin won the bid to host the Winter Games in Sochi. But that wasn't enough time to prepare the city for all the visitors, and the reporters are taking to Twitter to tell us all about it.
Not all of the hotels are ready to accommodate them.
Journalists arriving in Sochi are in for a rough night's sleep.
We are waiting for our rooms to be ready. While we've been sitting here for the last hour or so.
Or maybe no sleep at all. Only 6 of the promised 9 media hotels are ready, but even the ones with beds have other issues.
Chicago Tribune reporter Stacy St. Clair posted a photo on Twitter showing her hotel's yellow water.
One reporter's door had no doorknob. Another had a strange visitor in the middle of the night. This hotel lobby had no floor, but they did have this welcoming photo. Many of these pictures and experiences are popping up under the Twitter hashtag Sochi Problems.
So much. Always appreciate you taking an interest in our welfare. I guarantee you, we're okay.
While the problems reporters are facing aren't a matter of life or death, the Sochi problems just seem to be getting worse and worse. Oh yes, we can't forget about the double toilets.
You better go with a friend.
For Press Party, I'm Katie Eastman.
Those double toilets, those just get me every time.
I could not handle that.
I mean,
athletes are close, but
it's not quite that close.
Not that close.
And it's funny, I mean, we can make fun of these problems. Yes, these reporters will survive. They're not the end of the world. But I mean, it is just looking really bad for Sochi. Did this happen in London? I mean, was this...
No, actually... We had pretty much the exact opposite experience. We got to London, and you have to go through an ambassador program, and they warn you, buses might not be on time, things might not be finished, but that's okay, don't worry about it. And we got there, and literally, the city, I've been to London a few times before, but everything was beautiful, clean, done, put together. The volunteers were so friendly and outgoing and helpful. It was an amazing experience. But having said that, being a judo competitor, we travel all around the world for tournaments. And I've been to my fair share of hotels where we've had to sit in the lobby and sleep for 6 hours while we wait for a room to be ready, or the stray dogs or, I've never not had a doorknob
or yellow water that was dangerous to wash your face.
Yeah, I've had some pretty bad water experiences, but you just never drink the water ever.
But now, who hasn't had to wait for an hour in a hotel lobby because the room is not ready when we get there from the airport? And just yesterday, was a major story on the news that in West Virginia they still can't drink the water.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's 400,000 people who are without water. And yes, it is inconvenient for the press. And yes, it should be better than this. And yes, there is some brown water, but suck it up and do your job. I'm sorry.
It is amusing because it's before the sports have started, so it's amusing to see even the athletes tweeting some about this. But
the athletes seem to be in a slightly better position.
Yeah, I was looking yesterday, and I was comparing sort of, and the athletes are like, yay McDonald's, and like then it's the yay yellow water.
Yeah, we interviewed actually on Boston Herald Radio that reporter from the Chicago Tribune. She wasn't trying to start anything, but she got so much attention from tweeting the pictures of the water, and they told her not to touch
they said it was dangerous to even touch it.
Yeah, no face water. So, and that was a little alarming or different, but it's amusing now to me to see it. Do you think the media is whining too much about all this and shouldn't be covering?
It does make us.
No, honestly, I know, but it's the media. It's the media covering the media. Do you think it's?
I think that is hilarious. I love that the media is getting their little time to shine in the media.
Yeah.
Like, look at us. Look at what we're dealing with.
Is that overshadowing? Should they be covering the events instead?
I just think it's silly. I think it's interesting and fascinating to so many Americans, probably because maybe a lot of Americans haven't traveled to places like this or countries where these issues do occur. But that's the world. That's all over the world. It's not just Sochi. And I think it's a problem because they are hosting the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the reporters are there to report. So they'll be okay.
I don't think anyone's going to be flocking to Sochi after the Olympics are over. I don't think it's become a tourist destination.
But actually, that's what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to make it a ski resort. Did you see the amusement park that has been created?
Yeah.
That's Putin's big thing.
The views are incredible. That's one thing you can. It is a beautiful area.
Yeah. And historically, this had been a very important town. It was the southernmost outpost of the old Russian Empire, et cetera. And so there's a lot of history there. And so they're probably trying to use this to kind of jumpstart tourism in the area. Stories like that aren't going to help.
Right. That's not helping at all.
It's not helping. But I do think the reporters will shift again to the sports and stop tweeting about the water once, because it is, like you said, Dr. Bob, it's a little like, who cares, suck it up.
Most of the issues are something that will be solved within a couple days, and they will slowly be able to sleep in their beds, and they can buy some bottled water, and they will
now just think what they're reporting on. Terrorism, dirty water.
Right. That's why this was the last segment, kind of like it's okay. It doesn't look good, but
except for if you're a dog, they won't. But I do think that it's very funny to hear about this stuff. And like you said, a lot of people around the world, around this country, have never traveled to a country that's not as developed as ours.
I just think, in my opinion, it's the same for an athlete. If you're a reporter and you're a sports journalist and you're covering the Olympics, it's your Olympics. Like, you're covering what you've probably dreamed of covering your whole life. So don't complain about the water. Go cover the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
you're there.
I mean, like I said, I don't think that Chicago Tribune reporter was trying. She was just thought it was funny.
I'm not. I mean, I have tweeted pictures of my bed that was this big that I had to share with my teammate. I mean, it's
a funny little inside story showing people what you're going through.
Absolutely.
Well, and especially since a lot of national level reporters think a Holiday Inn is roughing it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of arrogant reporters out there, like you said, Dr. Bob, arrogant reporters who, like, oh, my meal, it's like, this is not a 4-star hotel, like, give me a break.
That's too much. That's too much. Well, that's all the time we have, but thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Make sure to keep the conversation going on Twitter with the hashtag PressParty and continue the chat in the comments below. For Press Party and Suffolk University, I'm Katie Eastman. We'll see you next week.